everybody. Thank you. All right. It's hard to follow a keynote with awesome product innovations and news and stuff and go between all the sessions and lunch. But I was excited to be here with our partner Temporal, and I got some stuff I wanted to change. I wanted to give you some practical stuff on sort of what we're seeing day to day, and then maybe some bigger ideas for the future. My name is Adam Seligman. Oh, where's my clicker? Where's my clicker? Hopefully there's a clicker for me. Thank you. My name is Adam Seligman, and I run developer experience at AWS. That's like our marketing and developer relations and open source strategy job. It's really fun to work with our developer communities around the world. I've actually just moved into that role. The last 3 years, I've been working on service teams, and I've been building and operating and doing new 0 to 1 and improving some services and stuff, and it's been a really fun journey. I got a couple of stories maybe I'll share to give some perspective of this moment we're in. And I wanted to start with that. It is really fun and exciting to go heads down and build really neat, gnarly, reliable, secure, amazing cloud solutions that delight your customers and your users and keep the business running. And it's consequently a little easy to get wrapped up in that and not recognize a little more broadly like a moment of change that we're in. So I wanted to share this. We're in a moment of change for software development and software engineering that I think is probably bigger than anything I've seen in my almost 30 years of doing this. And that's like cloud, PCs, Linux, mobile, social and stuff. I had the privilege of running through all that. I think we're at a moment with this generative AI technologies that's even bigger than that. And I don't know what it means. I think we're all on this journey together. But I wanted to share a little perspective from AWS and what I've seen working with these technologies and get us to a good discussion of where the world might be going. So I want to start with the reason why we're at a moment of change is not because coding assistant can write some code for you, maybe that sometimes is good enough. It's because the way our customers and your users expect to work with technology and interact with systems in the world and communicate and do their jobs and study and learn, that's changing. We as technologists are getting pulled along to this new world of user expectations that customers and consumers have. I think the slide may have cut off a little. I don't know if you can see this. We have an Amazon on the retail side. I really know nothing about it. It's not my thing. I definitely buy a lot from it. You have reviews for products, and people rely on that. They see the reviews and what do they like or don't like about some product. And you see an example here. This review is 120,000 reviews. That's not really super useful, but pulling out the salient information for those, summarizing, finding the outliers, comparing to others, that's actually super useful. And so we built this generative AI tool called Rufus, after one of the company's engineers' dogs, and it's a shopping assistant. And it's actually surprisingly good. It hopefully continues to get better. But you can ask about products, you can compare products, you can search for products based on characteristics and reviews. It's kind of like a new shopping modality that's emerging. I'm a shopper. I'm not a shopping expert or e-commerce, but I see it in my personal life. They're like, wow, the way I work with technology, the way I work with services around me is going to change. So our customers and our users are getting pulled into this world, and I think we are also getting pulled to this world. And the way developers work is just radically and profoundly changing. Now, I wanted to start with, I didn't say development is going away, and I didn't say the computer is going to replace coding, or coding is going, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying the way that software engineers work is going to change. Now, I, in my career, have already seen a whole lot of change. Like a move to the cloud and agility and embrace of open source. We've all seen changes, I think, in our careers, no matter where your entry point was. But now it's changing even further in new and in bigger ways. And I'll start with a surprising stat, which is developers spend only 52 minutes a day coding. This is a software.com study. Can everybody see the slide? I can't see it from here. Okay, great. Sadly, we spend lots of time doing lots of other things. Meeting, reading docs, debugging stuff, trying to make communication work. It is kind of an amazing stat. Anybody surprised by this? It's sad, right? It's really sad. I don't know, I fell into it because coding was kind of the fun part. I didn't all this fixing stuff and everything is broken and everything hurts, right, all the time. So when we're thinking about what generative AI can do to help all of you and help all of our customers, like take advantage of the cloud and build things and have better quality of life and do more of the fun part, we have to think about the whole software engineering experience, like everything that the humans do, everything the company needs, everything that the team needs end to end, not just that coding part. And there's been a lot of energy and excitement on the coding assistant part, like while you're writing those 8 lines of code, do they get generated for you or completed for you or suggested? And that's really interesting. And if that went beautifully, that would only maybe help you 52 minutes of the day. And there's lots of the other day that you want to help with. So I wanted to that's like a broadening the aperture. Now this next slide, this is really, really exciting for me. Can you read the text? I don't know. That this is the test scores of AI systems on various capabilities relative to human performance. And so that horizontal line is 0, and it's like bottom 100 at the very bottom, and then the top is like plus 20, where it's like better than humans. And then they have different things in here, like reading comprehension, handwriting recognition, predictive reasoning, math problem solving, code generation. And code generation is, I don't know, maybe at like minus 20 or 0, and this is, I don't know, 1 year old, which is like, a lot of dog years right now in the generative AI space. So, but the net takeaway is, we're not running out of generative AI innovation right now. We're running out of benchmarks. Look at the shape of every one of these lines. When we can clearly articulate a class of problem, the ML researchers go to work and a bunch of training happens and a bunch of innovation and feedback happens, and wow, the systems get better and better and more capable. So I talked to a lot of programmers. A lot of programmers are like, hey, I like building systems. I like running systems. Generative AI is kind of neat, but it's not for me. I just want to communicate like a wake-up call. That is fine. And the world is going to change around you. And what would be really wonderful is you could do the parts you really, really love, and then all the other parts that are a pain or slow you down or get in the way could go away or be lessened. And so I think that's really the way to look at this, and the opportunity here is the parts you don't want to spend time on, the computers are going to come and the systems will come and help you with those things. Now, another thing that people say is like, oh, well, I'm above average, or I'm a principal engineer, or I have unique and specialized experience, so I'm not 0, I'm plus 20, I'm plus 40. It's like, that's all great. And I don't think we know where these lines end, but I just want to again say, look at the shape of these curves, right? So we're entering a pretty extraordinary moment where all the things we thought about how software development is going to work before and what we'd spend our time doing and the way we learn it, it's going to change in new and unpredictable ways. So if you go look at where people spend time in software development, you've seen stuff like this. It's this whole life cycle, like planning, figuring out user requirements, looking at code examples, other resources, other assets your company has. Probably in a lot of your world, a lot of existing distributed systems and APIs that you need to make sense of and wire up to build into reliable systems. There is the writing of the code, but there's also the managing of the infrastructure, right? Like AWS and our peers in the cloud really flattened those two things about developer and operations and infrastructure all together. So it's just all one thing you could innovate on all at once. Testing and keeping things secure is never ending. Security is always a moving target, so that it's just like an ongoing part of the life cycle of applications. And then operations, updating code. I mean, we're all kind of in dependency hell in every, ecosystem of choice, right? It's like this treadmill of depths that you're dealing with. And then, of course, just ongoing performance and efficiency and looking to squeeze cost out of systems and making sure you can meet your new, your new load requirements, your usage and everything. And then more on the modernization when you have to make bigger shifts and refactors of a system to meet business needs. So that's just basics on the life cycle. But that's exactly how we're thinking about our investment in tools for developers to improve the software development life cycle with generative AI. So our investment, our product is Amazon Q, and it's GA, which is pretty cool. And it is the service from Amazon to help you reimagine software development around that entire life cycle. And it can help you build applications and reliable IT. It can also help you write code, test, debug, optimize, take out costs, understand your code, upgrade and modernize your code, and also as a learning tool to sort of talk with all these, more than 15 years of AWS expertise, best practices and well-architected coded in and trained into the models so that you could get advice to make good calls on and like learn from RPEs and learn from our COEs and learn from all the things, all the assets and design docs we've educated the system with, so you can get the benefit of that as you build systems and improve things. We've also built it in a way that we respect customer security and privacy, so we don't train Q on our customers' data or input or chat or things like that. Actually, I'll tell you, it's actually made improving Q a little harder than if we were like just like a fly-by-night, kind of operation, because like we really redact what we can look at in terms of users' queries, just to make sure we're really thoughtful, because users might put in PII or some other sensitive information. So Amazon Q Developer is our product for that. We're really excited to get it out in the world. It surfaces in lots of different places in our products. You can install it in VS Code or JetBrains. You can access it in the console. We're going to put the service in more and more places to help you carry on on the business of software development. Now, let me give you some examples of where it shows up and what it can do. So in the management console, you can ask questions in the well-architected framework. You can ask questions about your infrastructure, which EC2 instance is where. It'll work across region, so it's the only developer assistant that's informed with the actual live services operating inside your AWS account. It's kind of neat. You can explain existing code also. So in VS Code, you can highlight some code, you can right-click it and have it explained to you, which is pretty interesting. You can generate documentation and tests. We do have an inline coding assistant, so as you type, it will complete code. But you can also chat and say, hey, I'm thinking about how I would solve this problem. How would I go and do that? So like conversational kind of coding, like this new modality. I think we see a lot of developers like flipping between an IDE and ChatGPT. So we wanted to bring a really high quality and also secure assistant right into your IDE, which is pretty cool. Unit test generation, we got some new features coming on that I'm super excited about to help developers build tests. Security scanning and remediation guidance, which is pretty cool. We'll also flag if any code that was generated that matches something in the training set that had an open source license. So you can, if you're a company, can like decide thoughtfully if you want to incorporate that code into your code base or not. Error troubleshooting, so a lot of unique and specialized stuff on troubleshooting errors and making sense of logs in AWS. Cool new features like reachability for network to do like a structured logical approach to understand if something like a VPC is reachable. What else is in there? Optimization we talked about. Oh, and then one thing that's really cool is agentic code development, where you basically treat Q like a member of your team, and you assign it a task, and it will say, okay, I'm going to go work on that task. And it's not a single shot thing. It has an intelligent agent that will go and figure out the best approach. It uses a token-efficient way to sort of go through your code base and understand your whole repo and make sense of it. It will lay out its approach. It will implement it. It will then test to see if it works, and we'll go back and backtrack and make changes if necessary. So you hit that /dev command, and it's like handing a feature off to work on with somebody else in your team. Now, we're at the early days of this. I don't think we're at the end of this journey, but I wanted to start this with the shape of those curves. And I'm going to start this with how consumers' behavior is changing. And I think we're also going to see developers' behavior changing, where maybe even the core work is still hand-coded, but the exploratory work of looking at different scenarios might be handled by a developer agent. So I really encourage you to try Q. You can install it for free, which is pretty cool to get started. If you want more capabilities, you can pay for it. Your company can pay for it. We've been using it internally. One of the features that Q has is a code transformation agent. The first code transformation feature we released is Java modernization for Java runtime upgrades. We have a large Java fleet, as you can imagine, at Amazon across the entire company. And so we wanted to upgrade to Java 17 from older versions. That used to take us a lot of developer days, like on the order of 2 months of developer time. The agent can do it in hours. And we actually did this with our fleet, with a big chunk of our fleet, and we estimated we saved 4,500 developer years of work. This is a public stat that we've said publicly. And we upgraded 50% of our production Java systems in under 6 months. I'll tell you, it is a very large fleet. And 70 or 80% of the code, I think that's the stat, 79% of the code shipped without actually any changes. That were just accepted. So upgrading that fleet for us to more efficient and more modern Java runtimes led to a $250 million in annualized cost savings because those systems are more performant. So pretty extraordinary impact in our business. Now, it's not all here evenly, but it's coming really fast. Has anybody seen this SWE-bench? Can I see a show of hands? Have you seen a SWE-bench? You know what this is? Okay, just one or two. Okay, so a research group published a paper and a benchmark, and they took a whole bunch of open source Python repos, and they looked at before code, issue, pull request, and the diff afterwards. And then they made that a benchmark, and then they invited different agents, including their own, to compete and see, okay, if you're given this pre-code and you were given this issue, did you generate the correct output? Did you agentically create the best output? And then OpenAI, about a month ago, took a subset of that and cleaned it up, kind of polished it, and made it the SWE-bench verified benchmark. And we were really excited because the same day that came out, Amazon Q's agent was the best in the world. It was #1 in the benchmark. We've fallen back one spot or two spots maybe in the last 2 weeks with some startup who hasn't released their product yet, which maybe it'll be amazing. So like it's a fast-moving space. But this code went live on Friday in the /dev feature in Q. So we're the only, I think, maybe the only company in the world that will let you use like this absolute leading-edge agent technology right now. I'd encourage you to try it. My team played with it all weekend. We discovered, some sharp edges and some things that it was not capable of. I was laughing. We were really bad at spring tests for some reason. I don't know what it was. We just really struggled with spring tests. But they were absolutely amazed with some other stuff it was able to do. One task, I did a video post on this Monday afternoon, was taking a monolithic Lambda function, refactoring it based on the different API signatures it had in it into multiple Lambdas, factoring out common code into a shared library, and then automatically writing CDK deployment script for it, for each of the new 3 Lambdas. So like, wow, like 5-minute task. I don't know about you, I couldn't do that in 5 minutes. So it's a pretty exciting world that's coming. It's not all here yet. We'll hope you'll try out Q. It's a fast-moving space. But I wanted to share like our intentions to make sure you have that stuff at your fingertips so you can focus on sort of the most joyful parts of software development, and that whole life cycle becomes kind of more pleasant. Now, another thing that's happening that's pretty exciting is we think many more builders can join the family of builders and the ecosystem of people that can actually make things, that are qualified to like make things in the cloud and make high-value software. We think we can make that bigger. Now, it's probably not super interesting to people in the room, but it's going to set up some learnings. So I had the privilege to work in this product. This is called App Studio. App Studio is a no-code, generative AI-driven app builder. So instead of like a visual thing, it starts with chat, and you describe the app that you want. The system will see if there's any existing data it wants to work with from your AWS data sources. There's a prompt going in. It then writes a requirements document for you, which I don't know about you, it's not always so easy to write for every developer in the world. You can iterate with the requirements document. It will then generate a fully managed AWS serverless application. And yeah, a real application with code that uses IAM, logs like you'd expect, can call any API, can call any AWS service, and can be extended with JavaScript. And the user doesn't see the code. We keep the code. All the manipulations are either done through chat or sort of like a visual programming environment that we have. It is real code. It is a real serverless application, but these users don't have to have the same technical experience to go build applications in this world. We focused this in this internal apps. It was a pretty sophisticated agentic system that made this possible, which is pretty amazing. We're really excited to get that out. And then I had the privilege of working in another product. Amazon Q is a business user product. It's kind of like generative AI chat product for your enterprise. And what we found working on this last couple of years, anybody seen Party Rock? Anybody seen the Party Rock application environment? Yeah. It's kind of a fun like generative AI playground thing. Well, we found in Party Rock that people would string together a couple of prompts and inputs and outputs and kind of do the same thing repeatedly. And it was actually kind of an app. Like they actually had in their mind, okay, I need to do these 3 things and have these couple of inputs and get these kind of outputs, and that's my app. So we built this feature in Q for business that was an app, basically, Amazon Q apps. And you literally chat and you get an app, input, output, Amazon data sources. We're adding ability to call Lambdas and APIs, inputs and outputs. There is no code, and it takes like a minute to build something. So listen, we want to include AWS, we want to include like welcome anybody to be a builder, a really big tent. We want anybody to build secure things. So when we build this stuff, it still has to work with like IT infrastructure that a company has and work in expected ways and respect the security posture and governance and observability and all those things. But we're entering a world where customer expectations are changing, developers, the way they work is going to change, and even who can be a developer is going to change. Okay, so I learned something really interesting building the agents in Q Apps and App Studio when I was working on those service teams. And that is, there are a lot of surprises when working with LLMs and generative AI tools. Everybody's used ChatGPT and gotten an unexpected response. Yes? I want a real show of hands. Like, it really threw you for a loop every now and then, right? There's this thing about counting letters in the word strawberry that is like the ultimate wrinkle. I don't know why. So, I found this quote from Einstein. So Einstein wrote a letter. So the evolution from classical mechanics into the early days of quantum mechanics. And he wrote in a letter, I, at any rate, am convinced that he, referring to God, does not throw dice. It was a letter in 26. And there was a lot of consternation of like, whoa, this uncertainty thing feels really uncomfortable for people that like a predictable, understandable, well-modeled world. Like it's just foundationally different. And I think that's kind of the moment we're in with generative AI. These things work differently. Like, okay, great, they can write code, and then also sometimes they can't count the letter R in the word strawberry. Like, I don't understand. How can I build predictable things when these foundational building blocks are sort of not that reliable? Does that feel resonant right now? Kind of exciting, but sort of surprising edge cases? Looking for some nods here. Yeah, I don't know about you, but first thing I do when I get a new LLM to play with, I see what to do, and then I see how I can break it, right? Okay. But quantum mechanics is also what gave us the transistor. The quantum well in a transistor is what allowed us to have computers on our desks, right? Quantum technology, quantum mechanics is what led to the invention of the LED that like powers all our laptops and screens. So this stuff that we as developers like tap on every day and expect to be super predictable and understood was powered by these quantum advances that was about uncertainty. So uncertainty feels a little weird to us because we don't see it and because we built more reliable engineered systems around them. So that is why I kind of want to bridge this. We live in a stochastic world. And so I wanted to like inspire you a little bit with all the LLM and generative AI stuff at the beginning and these new tools that are coming. And then I wanted to get a little bit of a negative response like, whoa, 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 I'm a software developer. I like things predictable. I don't, that sounds kind of cool, but is it just a parlor trick? And I wanted to set up this sort of this tension between sort of like chaotic creativity, I don't know, it's trying to be alliterative, and durable delivery. And I think there's a set of developers that are really excited by this chaotic creativity and what can we do with LLMs and systems and agents, and that's kind of cool, but I don't know, is it really going to change my job day to day? Because I'm paid for durable delivery. I have to keep the bank transactions going. I have to make sure the students can sign up for classes. I have to make sure the flights land and take off. And there's like that inherent tension. So I went to the websites of Bedrock Agents and Temporal, okay? And I just want to highlight something. The left is the sort of the flow diagram of how Bedrock Agent works. You know what Bedrock is? It's our LLM from Foundation Model as a Service from AWS. You can go in and with a simple API call, like get a stability LLM or Claude from Anthropic or Meta, Llama 3.1. You can get all these different models from all these different vendors. We kind of have everybody but OpenAI. And then wrap it with other stuff you might need, like guardrails, access to tools and lambdas so the LM can call like data from one of your internal systems, a knowledge base like a RAG, retrieval augmented generation, so the ability to like pull up corporate data or files or things so it can do better answers for you as opposed to just relying on the knowledge trained into the model like, oh no, let's pull the corporate data. What is our travel policy? Where is the flight that's going to Cleveland today? What time should it land? What is your bank account balance? That kind of stuff. Okay, and then durable delivery. So I probably don't have the best temporal diagram. I bet I'll get educated afterwards and a better way to think about it. But just this whole model of like, structurally providing more durable execution in a dynamic and changing world. I think these things go together beautifully. Okay, like I just want to highlight that. The one on the left, it's kind of hard to see if you look really closely. I think it says loop or user input. So that one on the left really is wildly chaotic. And in the pipeline we built for some of these agents, like in the App Studio one and in inside how Q works, there's an LLM that rewrites the query. There's an LLM step that checks for what domain that's in. There's an LLM step that manages for toxicity. There's a retrieval augmented generation. There's post-processing of the retrieval results. There's a prompt generation into the LLM. There's a response back from the LLM. There's a validator node that sees if the output is an, I don't know, YAML or JavaScript or whatever you're looking for inside your agent. It is a wild number of steps that are loosely connected and stochastic and incredibly powerful, but they're going to need more order and structure to them. So I'm really excited both at how developers work today, and it's going to change using these new tools. I hope you all embrace these new tools. And I'm super excited for the cool stuff you're going to build in the future when you sort of embrace these generative AI kind of capabilities in these durable systems that you're learning to build, and you're using Temporal and AWS together, which is a great combination. Is that pretty exciting? Okay. So it is a pretty wild, disruptive moment. I just want to encourage you to really be fearless. It's a little daunting to see the shape of those curves, but get the tools, get hands-on, learn what they can do, what they can't do. We hope you'll embrace Q, and I think we can both throw dice and live in a stochastic world and deliver things reliably and predictably. So thank you very much. Cheers.